Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Haunted Hearsay. I'm Caroline, and I'm here in Donegal, and I'm joined by Ben down in Dublin. Hi, Ben, how are you?
Hey, how are you? I'm good.
Are
Not
you
too
getting
bad.
any of the good weather that we're getting?
Yeah, it was nice today. Didn't get out much, but it was nice.
Fabulous.
Kind
I
of,
even got a bit of planting done today, and
oh, lovely.
yeah, I'm quite proud of the fact I was quite productive today, enjoying the
Yeah.
good weather.
Organized, yeah. I'm the
We
opposite.
sat in that long, so nice to get out. I do have a story. Now, I
Oh,
don't have a lot of background on this story. It's something that goes back to the early 70s, and it is a place in Kincastle that was called the Chaban. Chaban's there a long time, and it's been closed now for years. But it was a bar cum guest house.
yeah.
And in the early 70s, it was owned by a fellow called Pat Tobin, God rest his soul, he's passed since. And they were Americans. And my father we'd come here on holiday to Ranny to Mulladuff, as you know. But there was a couple of years when my father was the resident musician during the summer. So when we'd come over on holiday, we'd stay there in the Chaban. I don't remember much about it. I was about five the first year and six the second year. But I can remember playing there as a child and with Daniel O'Donnell too.
Oh,
He
yeah.
came over and play with us there as well.
Funny.
But the story is I got to find out some history about when the building was built, etc. I thought I might have got something online, but there's nothing. But I know who I can go and visit to get more background.
Okay.
But it was open, up and running during the occupation, the British occupation, and it was commandeered and used as barracks where soldiers would come and stay.
Okay.
Yeah. So now there were most of them were well because it's also in Kincastle and quite near to it is Gorton Said Pier. So you'll find that during the occupation here, it was all the piers had places that were occupied by British soldiers, etc. Because it was the way into the county, and they had to be, well, in their eyes, had to be policed by them. Now, this story is definitely back in the early 70s. So I'm talking about 1970, 1971, before we came here to live, and we would only have been here on holiday. And it was one of the nights where the barmaid, who was from Anigra, that used to work in there, and for the life of me, I can't remember her name. And well, you know how good I am at names.
Yeah. Sorry for the best.
Yeah, it was. She had heard all these stories. If she was like, say, for instance, had a late night. Now we weren't actually staying there when this happened, but it would be nights. Say, for instance, there was music on and there was a late night. Instead of going home, she'd stay.
Mm.
And apparently, a few of the locals were like, "Don't the ghosts bother you?" And she didn't believe in it. She's like, I'm not buying that, and just
Yeah.
thought that was them trying to put the heebie-jeebies in her. And she's in one night, and it was a relatively late night. Music had finished up maybe about 2 in the morning. By the time everyone had left, it was like nearly 4 in the morning. And she had gone to bed. She was just settling down into going to bed. And she heard this big clatter, this lorry pulling into the parking spot outside, literally outside Chaban. And she thought, what in under God is this now at this time of the night? And ran over to the window and looked, and there's this big lorry load of soldiers
Oh,
that appeared to be in period uniforms. And she
yeah,
thought,
interesting.
what the hell's going on? It was like, what the hell's going on here? And so she ran, and she could hear all the shouting, and they're getting out of the truck and everything. I mean, this is not just like one, this is a lorry load of
Yeah, yeah,
soldiers.
yeah.
So she's ran back to get her dressing gown, and she's upstairs, she's ran downstairs through the pub and out to the front door. Nobody's there.
By the time she got there, they're gone.
Nobody was there.
Wow.
Now, and I mean, I will get pictures the next day I'm over
Yeah.
to show you the actual spot. But, and she would never stay in it herself then afterwards.
She was
And
too freaked out.
yeah, because it wasn't just a ghost, it was a lorry pulled in, and it was the soldiers were arriving back to go in and stay for the night.
And was she like, she didn't own the place, she just,
No, she ran the place for the owners.
okay.
And but basically it was like, it was sort of a guest house and a
Yeah.
bar and lounge, and they would have music. It was a lovely spot. And I can remember that was, yeah, but there was a lot of talk about that for several years afterwards. Nobody would stay in their own in it afterwards.
That's
But
funny.
she was a woman that hadn't believed any of it before.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't even a case of I've heard a noise and I saw somebody. It was a lorry load of soldiers pulled up into the street.
That's fascinating. That
Yeah,
it's
it is. I'm going
such
to
a
get
big,
yeah. There's now the actual building's still standing,
yeah,
but there's not much of the original building. There was a guy bought it back in the 80s from Annigrum, and it was all garages that this fella had. And so he took the old roof off and put it, it just looks like a big garage, really. And it never really took off after that. So
yeah.
it's sitting there empty now a very long time. So I must get pictures. The next day I'm round Mulladuff direction, I must get some pictures to
Oh,
show.
interesting.
But
That's
yeah,
the
it's
first time I've heard of such a kind of big thing being.
yeah. I mean, you couldn't make something like that up. I mean, if
Yeah,
she was going to make something up, you'd have to make something a bit believable up.
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
You know, this was actually quite a big thing.
yeah,
Now, apparently, she's not the only person that happened to, but I mean, off the top of my head, I couldn't give you names of other people that it happened to. But she really thought that, that they would wind her up at night. Are you staying here and the ghosts don't bother you? And it wouldn't have even been a case where she thought it was someone winding her up or trying to pull a joke because it was a lorry, one of
yeah.
those old lorries, the old style lorry.
And it was 4 in the morning as well.
Yeah, exactly. And everyone had already left. She thought it was more people landing looking to get in for a drink.
Right. Okay.
And maybe they were. Maybe they were looking to get in for a drink. But yeah, so that was the Chaban in Kincastle. But that's actually it's round the corner from where the Crying Stone is over in Mullagerrock Beach, which is also quite near where all the bodies washed up onto the beach from the Spanish Armada.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's bound to be a few ghosts around there, all right. That was the only sort of public place.
I heard a story recently about a guy. I think he's a singer. A singer, I think. He's kind of young and English, not very famous, but he was. He went to America about 10 years ago, I think, and he was staying. I can't remember who he said he was staying with, but he was alone and he was quite young, and he was staying in this room at the top of the house in this attic somewhere in LA, and he felt like there was a very strange vibe in the bedroom, and all of a sudden he felt like somebody was spitting in his face, and basically a spirit was trying to tell him to leave, but
Wow.
they were like right in front of him spitting on his face in his sort of hallucination or whatever it was he was having, his apparition of the ghost. He'd wake up and the ghost was on top of him trying to spit in his face. I just thought that was pretty hardcore.
Well, you know, I have heard. I did know a friend, a girl I used to. When I say a friend, someone I used to know years ago, and this was in. I'm trying to think. South of England, south of London. It's not Bournemouth.
Bristol? No, I don't know.
No, what do you call the singer? Oh my God, almighty, it's so bad with names. Anyway, south of London, place that this girl and her mum lived, and it was this old Victorian house. And the room she was in was an L-shaped room. Now, her mother was a medium as well. But it started off where she'd be sleeping at night and somebody would come into the room. And for long enough, she thought it was just her mum coming in to say goodnight, maybe and check that she had the lights off. She would just hear someone coming into the room. And I'm sorry, I'm getting distracted here because I keep getting all these security messages coming up on the phone or up on the computer to tell me that I can upgrade if I want. I wish they'd stop doing it while I'm doing a Zoom. But it was an L-shaped room. So it started off initially where she's like 12 or 13. And so someone would walk into the room every night and she just assumed it was the mum. And until one night she just happened to turn and glance around. She was going to ask her to get her maybe a glass of water or milk or whatever. And it wasn't. There's this dark figure standing at the bottom of the bed. It didn't do anything. It was almost like it came in to check on her, but it came into that room and stood at the bottom of her bed. And it started happening all the time to the point where even the mother wasn't comfortable with it and they actually moved.
Oh, they moved house because
they moved house because of it, because it was the mother didn't feel happy. Her being a medium, she was able to, but she wasn't able to get rid of it, but she was able to say that she wasn't happy. Now, it didn't do anything to the girl.
Yeah.
And for long enough, she could hear it and she just would assume, just ignore it, just think it was her mum coming into the room and just ignore it. And just happened to be one night when she just turned around, oh, mum, would you get? And she looked
That was
and the
it.
figure stood. Now, it was a black figure, but she couldn't make out the face.
Yeah.
That kind of way. It's like you're looking at a shadow at night. Yeah.
That's freaky. Yeah, I'm lucky, I guess, that I haven't seen much of that stuff myself.
Have you had anything in your house since?
Not really, no, nothing. Just the cat gets a bit freaked out every so often. She like goes up on her hind legs, kind of thing, and she jumps around sometimes.
Well, they say animals sense things before we do.
Yeah, I
I was
wonder.
watching the end of our podcast there last week, and I was watching just for anybody mentioning it was a party. We were 5 sheets to the wind by the time we went down to the.
Oh, and we're underground in the.
Yes, I have to point that out because I spent an awful lot of time going, oh my God, oh my God.
Yeah, yeah,
So, but I tried the link that you sent me to see who built that house originally, because
oh yeah.
I know it was used as a monastery, but it wasn't built as a monastery.
Okay, yeah.
But I'm having difficulty getting anything further back on the link you gave me. I would need to do a bit more investigation into that.
The deeper.
Because you were able to validate the fact I knew somebody had been killed there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I obviously picked up that girl. Apart from that, wasn't the woman with the keys. The girl I kept picking up, that was somebody different.
Yeah.
But I'd love to get that validated.
I'd love to go back.
Yeah, actually, I'd like to go back even just to visit it during the day and see the grounds. I mean,
The grounds are really nice. Yeah.
yeah, there's a church on the grounds. There's a graveyard on the grounds.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that was people that stayed in the house over the years.
Probably family of, yeah. It's not a very big graveyard, and it's the chapel's quite small as well. So
Yeah, obviously when we were there, it was dark, so I didn't get to do the investigation that used it. Have you got the sniffles?
yeah, today I do for some reason. I don't know. It could be even a hay fever thing.
It's that time of the season, isn't
Yeah.
it?
I don't know what's wrong with me. It's definitely not the C word anyway.
Oh, I didn't get my injection
Oh no, why not?
because they pulled the AstraZeneca and the Johnson
And that's the ones, was it?
the day before yesterday. Yes, because I was surprised. I was like, well, am I not going to get it? No, it'll be a while yet. Even my mother will have to wait now to get her second injection.
All right, yeah.
I'm not sure how, because I know now my older son's getting his in Donegal this week, and he's getting his before me.
He's obviously getting a Pfizer one.
I'm assuming so. I would have assumed all the surgeries around here were getting the same one, but it mustn't be the case.
If you were over 60, it'd be fine.
I know I'm not. I'm close enough to it, but I'm not. I'm not over it yet. So, yeah. But then again, I suppose Gweedore a much bigger community.
Yeah.
I suppose the reason we're talking about COVID to anyone's watching is we're very limited as to haunted hearsay information.
Well, this all kind of came out of this lockdown, so it's only the beginning.
Yes. Well, I mean, it's like the Chaban story. Ordinarily, I would have waited until I had a bit more information on the background of the building and taken some pictures. But I just thought when I remembered it tonight, and I was surprised because I thought, oh, that came out of I don't know, it was a long time ago. And it really was quite significant, but it is an area that is obviously quite haunted. It's all in that sort of area where all the Spanish Armada had come in, etc. as well.
Yeah. I saw a post online somewhere about they're talking about the reeds on the way down to Critch Island. Do you know the way that?
Yes.
And how overgrown they are. But that's it just got me thinking about how spooky that road is.
It is.
Another one along, kind of desolate at night anyway.
Well, funny, it's a beach we used to go to when we lived in Dunlow because it was just easier to get to. But the Mullagerrig would have been the normal place for us to go to when we were young. And I mean, that beach is very haunted.
Yeah.
We would go to we would have parties on that beach years ago. This is like back in the early 80s, late 70s, after the likes of Dodge or something like that. But we did it so that we could all get scared.
Yeah, because
That's why. Yeah, that's kind of why. You went en masse, you maybe about 20 of
yeah,
you. And, if the midges didn't kill you,
yeah.
stick it out just a bit more. Yeah, but it was somewhere we went to get scared at the
Yeah.
end of the night. That was sort of, yeah, let's go down to Mullagerrock and
I
see
wonder if anyone
ourselves.
had
Yeah.
experiences while they were going for a slash or anything. Tap on the shoulder. I don't know.
Well, I thought I would like to. I know we don't do it live because we don't really have that. We don't have the chance to do that at the moment. So we don't have like the comments and everything coming up. But I really wanted to ask, having spoke about possession, and this is going back to that story that I couldn't really cover last week on the local possession because of, well, the fact that the family are not living that far away from here, etc. But it was, hers was dismissed immediately as being a mental illness. But this woman died, wasn't it? A young woman died believing that her mother had been possessed by the devil.
Yeah,
But the thing is, I don't know that her mother was. I don't think that she was, obviously. But I'm just wondering, what was she possessed with?
the girl. Yeah,
Yes, the girl herself to do something so horrendous. And how do you know?
I
We
do
have
never.
a lot of experience of it here in Ireland, but I mean, it's in Italy, especially. They're very used to it, and it's a thing. That has happened quite a lot in America. We hear about it happening, especially in South America. We hear about it a lot more. But how do you know?
It's a lot more a part of different cultures, like
Yeah.
the recognition of it. Anyway, I mean, like I was watching that thing with the guy in Pakistan as well, who was possessed.
Hmm.
Yeah,
But
I
those
don't.
cultures kind of acknowledge it. Here in Ireland, it is not something that I grew up
No.
knowing about. It was something we seen in films, and it was dismissed as nonsense and dismissed as, oh, it's not real. And
Yeah,
the Irish are very good at being blinkered about things. And so, I mean, it's not to say that it doesn't happen here, but I don't think it's recognized here. I've never,
yeah.
certainly never heard of anyone being exorcised here for demon possession.
I'm sure it does happen. It's just we haven't really. It doesn't get publicized, maybe,
It
or
wasn't actually in Donegal that she was put into an asylum. It was actually in Dublin.
Dundrum. Yeah,
Dundrum. Yes, actually, I only found that out. It was Dundrum she was taken to.
yeah.
And
That's the big one. The central.
But I mean, the sad thing is she's passed now since. The sad thing is, what if that poor woman was actually possessed? And what they treated her for was never going to help her or make her better.
Yeah,
But because we don't acknowledge that sort of thing, well, I've certainly never heard it acknowledged here anyway in Ireland growing up. That doesn't mean that it's not been in certain parts, but I've never heard of it.
yeah.
So, I mean, it's like, at what point, how do you know? I'd love somebody, if they're watching this, if they have an opinion, to please comment and tell us what their experience is or what they think.
I'd like to know. I believe the kid that was possessed, who was the inspiration for The Exorcist.
Yes,
So it was actually a boy. Do you remember we were
yes,
talking?
that's right. It wasn't a girl, it was a boy.
It
And it
wasn't
was
a girl.
back in
I
1948,
believe
wasn't it?
he's still alive. He's in his 60s.
Really?
So it'd be interesting to um, do some research and see if he's ever said anything
Yeah,
like,
in his 70s, if he's not 1948.
yeah, maybe 70s then. But he's
Yeah.
not that. I mean, he's not old. He's still around anyway, and I just thought it'd be interesting to hear from the perspective of somebody who's been possessed before, who has been possessed, and now they're not. So I wonder if there's any interviews with him or.
That's something we'll definitely have to look into. Because I know that, I mean, just because we don't acknowledge it here doesn't mean that it doesn't happen here.
Yeah,
And how many people down through the centuries have been locked in asylums and dismissed as being crazy?
a lot, I'd say.
And maybe they weren't.
I've
Maybe it was something as horrible as being possessed. But, just lock them in a padded room and throw away the key,
we've
basically.
never really had great mental health um, treatment in this country anyway. So I mean, they wouldn't be out, they wouldn't notice, or that, you know, it's.
No, that's, I mean,
Oh,
exactly. So I was pondering this all week and I thought, well, here, how would you know? I
yeah.
mean, even in Rome, people know whenever somebody's not acting themselves and they don't automatically jump to the
No, no,
conclusion.
they go to a psychiatrist first, is from what I've seen or heard from that Vatican exorcist. He said that they'd actually seek medical assistance first and rule out that it's not a mental health problem before they even get involved.
Yeah, see, I think that's the thing is that something like that wouldn't, I can't imagine if they wouldn't rule things out, if you know what I mean here. It would be, ah, there's definitely some sort of mental problem there.
Yeah,
You know, I just think it might be unfortunate because I believe that these things happen and there's enough evidence around the world. And the church itself, the Catholic Church itself, has lots and lots of evidence of possessions. They wouldn't have so many priests working as exorcists if there, you know, if there wasn't a need for it.
yeah.
So I mean, they even acknowledge it. So it's, you know, here, is it something that's just dismissed as a mental illness and lock the person up and
I think so. I think here they're very superstitious as well, but not in a very restricted way, in the sense that the superstitions that exist here are, they're sort of by the book. They're like a religion in themselves, you know. So like anything outside of that, I mean, people are probably more inclined to put up, as you said, put up the blinders and not acknowledge anything outside of their belief system or outside of what they believe it is anyway. Or they just like, oh, that's evil, but, or
yes.
take them away. It doesn't matter if they're mental or possessed, just take them away. So hide them.
I mean, because we know that there are stories going back in Irish folklore, well, not Irish history. It's like that house that had the devil appear to play cards, remember?
Oh yeah,
What
yeah.
was that house called again?
Loftus Hall.
Loftus Hall. Now, I mean, that was recorded back, what, Victorian times
Yeah.
by quite a well-to-do family. And now, I mean, the young girl involved did lose her mind.
Yes. Yeah, and she died locked away. Um,
Yeah, again, but I mean, she wasn't the only one that witnessed the devil being in the house that night, or that man, and when they looked at his feet, seeing cloven
I
feet.
think something that I forgot to mention in that is the man jumped up through the roof. He like jumped up and made a big hole in the roof and disappeared. Something like that. And the hole was there in the roof.
Yeah, it's still there now, isn't it?
Well, no, the building's kind of been restored and then come down since. It's not down, it's like a ruin now, I think.
Well, I've seen it advertised. I know that there's a man
For
that,
sale for €3 million.
yeah, I know the guy that bought it thought it would be hilarious to get it done up and, you know, and have it as a kind of a haunted location for people to come and visit and stay.
That's
But it
expensive.
turns out that it's too haunted.
Oh, right.
And I think it's, if he could sell it, he would. Yeah, because I know now that sort of you've had like the Ghost Adventurers, you've had Most Haunted, you've had, there's another group of Americans that were there as well. And the one thing is, it's a demonic
Yeah.
presence that's in
It's
that
like
house.
known for being particularly haunted in Ireland.
Yeah,
So
it's not just like going, I know, I think this is ghosties.
yeah,
It's apparently the sheer terror felt when you go into the place. It's a really evil.
yeah,
Yeah, there's plenty of them that we need to get to visit.
yeah.
I
Bring
think
our
they're well.
crucifixes with us.
Yes. Definitely. We need to get like a few more stories and cover them. I know we're sort of struggling this week.
Yeah, this week's a slow one, but sure. It was nice. I thought it was nice to go back and think about the house in Duro and look at those videos again.
Yes, I actually wish you'd put up more pictures of it, to be honest. It was
More. Maybe
I can't, I know I have my pictures saved on something on my phone, but God knows where it is.
I might have some of the event. Maybe.
Yeah, if you could post some of the event just so people can see what the house looked like on the inside. I remember there was a picture taken of everybody on that big grand staircase.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm not sure if I have that picture, but I'll
I
check.
had it somewhere, but I took it with my phone, and I'm pretty sure I didn't have the flash on, and the whole
Uh,
house was lit up with candlelight, etc.
yeah.
So it's not. I'm going to look for it again and see if I can find it. Might be on that cloud thing or whatever.
Hmm. Yeah, we'll get it up. We'll get some more pictures of the house up. I'll see what I can find.
Yes,
Um, we call it a night tonight.
it's very
A
short and
short
sweet,
one,
right?
but we'll have I'll definitely have another a ghost story for us next time.
But
Um,
I'll have more on the Chaban. I definitely will have more on the Chaban, and to see if I can get a bit more background, and if there's anyone else local that had any experience in the place, definitely get a few pictures of it. I just thought it'd be interesting to mention it. And
definitely, we haven't. It hasn't come up before, and it's in.
no,
It's another
that's what I
one.
mean. I've my memory for things at times. I'm going along and think, oh, how did I forget that? I kind of need a trigger at times to remind me,
Yeah.
because I've spent years hearing these stories from people or gathering them, as it were. I've been doing this long before we started the actual podcast, as you well know. But it's trying to remember them all and get that trigger. But I would love to hear anyone's opinion on the idea of possession and what they think of it, how they feel, and uh, because, as I say, it's not that it hasn't happened in Ireland. It must have, but we don't recognize it. We don't address it. I mean, that was the closest to home that I've thought of. That story with the
Mhm.
poor woman being tied to her bed, and I thought, it's very easy to dismiss it as a mental illness. You don't know if she's possessed, then she wasn't herself. Maybe she was innocent altogether.
You never know. Yeah, that's it. Like,
I mean, so I'd like, if anyone
uh,
watching would have an opinion on this, I would love to hear it, or anything that maybe the experiences they've had or heard about. Please, please, please contact us and send a message, and we'll definitely address it the next time we're talking. It would be great to
here's
hear.
one for you. Do you think animals can become possessed?
I don't know. I really don't know. I genuinely, I couldn't answer that. I couldn't even pretend to answer it.
Hmm.
And they're definitely a lot more heightened senses than ours, and are aware of things that we don't see. They react to things that we don't see, like your cat reacting to something in the house. But whether they can be possessed, I really haven't a clue. It'd be interesting if anyone's ever heard, if they'd
There
mentioned
might
it.
be some stories out there.
I really, really need to get out and about. I mean, we're still restricted anyway, but we can go around the county now. So, I mean, there's nothing stopping me in the next few
Hmm.
days to go places and get some pictures. And I certainly will of the Shaban. And I'm definitely going back up to Kerrytown, because we have now, and I am going to say that story. And I know I was very loath not to say it before, but that was the rumor that the devil appeared there as well.
Hmm.
Now, I can't get anybody to confirm that, but I remember hearing that growing up and other people talking about it. But of course, when you put people on the spot, oh, I
Yeah,
don't
it
know. I
wasn't
heard
that
that
though.
from someone else. I don't know if
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
true or
yeah.
not.
It
But
wasn't.
apparently the devil is supposed to have appeared about 10 feet away from where Our Lady appeared, the apparition of Our Lady appeared. Now, she appeared more than once. I'm assuming, I think his was a one-off appearance, but that particular area where he's supposed to have appeared, nothing grew there for years. But the family, I believe, planted trees all around it. So all the trees that are there now leading up to there were all planted by the family.
Hmm.
But it's still I don't know. We've been there, and you can see it is still
It has a vibe over in that corner.
it definitely has a vibe. And anyone I've ever taken there, and telling them the stories, I usually take them and don't say anything until they see, if they can pick it up themselves. And
Yeah,
it's the same thing.
yeah,
There's definitely normally when you go somewhere that it's serene and peaceful. There is it is serene, it is peaceful, but is it scary? It's
yeah.
scary. So I wonder, is that because I know that I've heard that story, but I think there is a vibe to it, like.
I'd like to try the app out there and see. That's
Yes.
another place
The
we can
minute you
go
can
to.
get traveling as far as Donegal, we've got so much to do. We're
I
going out
don't
to
think we'll be
Rutland
too
Island.
far away now. I
Yeah,
believe.
well, hopefully, because we've got a lot to cover on Rutland Island. And
Okay.
I've got a gentleman in the port that I have to speak to yet. It was Michael Matheson that put me. Michael Matheson is the lead singer of what's his group called again?
Mad Dog McRae.
Mad Dog McCree. He's the lead singer of Mad Dog McCree. They're based in Plymouth. They travel all over the world. We played a song there a couple of weeks ago, The Ghosts of Rutland.
Yeah,
The Ghosts of Duck Street, wasn't it?
Dancing in Duck Street, I think.
Yeah. And so it was him that told me about this other guys. If you want to hear ghost stories about Rutland Island, this is who we have to go and speak to. I won't mention his name till I go and speak to him, and he says it's okay if we can mention it. So yeah, once you get up, we've got loads of places to go, and we're going to use your app and see what we can pick up at these places as well. I also have an American girl that lives here now, and once we go out investigating, she's all for coming with us.
Cool.
Now, we won't be investigating like at night. Well, we will in Rutland Island, I suppose.
Now Rutland we can, yeah.
Yeah, I think we have to. I think we have to. But she's done it before with other groups, and yeah, so she's a bit more experienced. So we'll definitely have her along with us, maybe for at least one of them. I look forward to that. So yeah, we'll call it a night then tonight. Sorry, folks, if it wasn't very long. But anyone, I'd love to get some feedback on anything, any stories that anybody has. You don't have to come on and talk to us, because I have discovered when I talk to people and I'm like, do you want to come on and chat? People start to get really shy immediately.
Fair enough.
So yeah, but anyone that would like to come on and talk to us about their experiences, or even to send us a comment.
Send us
And
comments, let us know, and we'd love to talk about or hear about other people's stories as well.
yes, absolutely.
Particularly
Absolutely.
local ones and Donegal stories, because
Yeah. I
Dublin.
know there's lots all over Ireland, but we're sticking to the Donegal ones for the whole of the COVID anyway.
Yeah, Dublin's boring anyway. There's too many stories, and they're too generic or something.
Well, there's lots of people covered them. They've even got tours now, haven't they, in Dublin?
Yeah, they have a
All
ghost
the
tour. I've
ghost,
never
ghost
done it.
tours
It's
and
not
things like
meant to be
that.
good.
Are they not?
Well, there's a Dublin bus ghost tour, which I don't know. I don't want to say it's not good when I haven't done it, but it's a walking tour. Maybe it would be worth doing one of them.
Oh, we'll do it sometime, maybe.
It might even be the kind of thing you could do during the pandemic because it's all outside. Like in the future,
Yes, it'd be
when we're
interesting.
allowed travel, it might be something fun to do.
I mean, it's definitely something people are starting to take the mantle with. We're taking, that people are starting to do more. I don't know, I mean, were they doing it more beforehand? I think I remember growing up with these stories, but that's what they were. There was stories. There was always a ghost story being told around the fire somewhere.
Yeah,
But people don't have that outlet anymore. So things like this, we'll be your outlet. Tell us your story. And if you don't want to come on and tell us on an actual Zoom, then send us a message and we'll tell your story. We know there's lots of places that we want to get back round. I see Crawley's up and ready for business
oh
now.
yeah,
Yes, as a brewery, their whiskey brewery,
interesting.
Donegal whiskey, Crawley whiskey.
We'll give them a few months, and we should get on to them, see if they've had any paranormal experiences in their factory.
Yeah, I'd be very interested, because the last thing was before they opened was the electrician. Go to that one, and he doesn't necessarily believe in things like that. And yeah, he wasn't long packing up that night. And it was the same with the church when that was being renovated. And I've told you that before. The church is up just up towards Errigal Mountain, and that again was used as a barracks and a courthouse, and by the British during their occupation. So people would have been held there, etc. But yeah, the ghosts are there a long time.
Still there, interfering with the day-to-day business of the place.
Well, there's now I have a cousin that worked there for a very long time, and there's an area of the hotel that they're all a bit dubious about. And I know now that a lot of the guys that worked there wouldn't necessarily have believed in ghosts until things started happening at night. And it was after a while, it was like, oh, you moved that stuff, didn't you? Blaming each other for moving things and doing things, until it started happening, people that were there on their own. somebody would walk into the room, and anyway, it got to the stage where none of the workers would stay on late in the evening unless there was other workers there with them because of how haunted it
Yeah.
is. So yeah, I don't imagine they've exorcised those ghosts. So that's another place we definitely have to go up and have a wee walk around. But yeah, we'll be back on Tuesday and we'll have a wee bit more for you. As normally we can talk the hind legs of each other. But you know, sun is shining. I'm having a glass of wine.
Nice.
Yes.
Alrighty. Okay.
Right,
Well,
Ben, listen, I'll talk to you on
okay.
Tuesday.
Talk to you later.
All right, okay. And thanks everybody. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, share, all of the, hit the notification button. You know,
Thanks
the more
to
you do
our
all
new
this, the more.
Facebook followers as well. Hello
Yeah.
to all our new Facebook followers.
Yes, I know. Thank you, everyone that takes the time to like it. And you know, it's I don't see the comments here on this side. I don't know if you see them on your side. The next time you're up, you'll have to take the time to show
I'll have
me,
to show you everything. Yeah.
because I know Jamie, my youngest son, he's fed up to the back teeth. It's like trying to teach your mother how to drive, basically. You know, he doesn't have the patience to sit and show me. So I'll rely on you, Ben, the next time you're up. Okay, everyone, thank you very much. I hope you all have a fabulous weekend, wherever you are and whatever you are doing, and we'll see you all next week. So, EOY folks from Donegal and from Dublin.
Bye.
Bye.